especially blacks, Chicanos, y Puerto Ricanos, are increasingly advancing the proposition that they are political prisoners. They contend that they are political prisoners in the sense that they are largely the victims of an oppressed political economic order, swiftly becoming conscious of the causes underlying their victimization. Racist oppression invades the lives of blacks in an infinite variety of levels. Blacks are imprisoned in a world where their labor and toil hardly allows them to eke out a decent existence, if they can find a job at all. When the economy falters, we are forever the first victims, always the most deeply wounded. When the economy is on its feet, we continue to live in a depressed state. Unemployment is twice as high in the ghetto as it is in the country as a whole, and even higher among black women and the youth. The unemployment rate among black youths has presently skyrocketed to 30%. If 1/3 of America's white youths were without a means or livelihood, we would either be in the thick of a revolution or under the iron rule of fascism. Substandard schools, medical care not even fit for animals, overpriced, dilapidated housing, and a welfare system whose policy is based on skimpy concessions designed to degrade and divide, and even that may be canceled. This is the beginning of a list of props in the overall scenery of oppression, which for the mass of blacks, that's our universe. In black communities, wherever they are located, there exists the ever-present reminder that our universe must remain stable in its drabness, its poverty, its brutality. From Birmingham to Harlem to Watts, black communities are occupied, patrolled, and often attacked by the massive deployments of police. The police, the domestic caretakers of violence, are our oppressors' emissaries, charged with the task to contain us within the boundaries of our oppression. Now, the announced function of the police is to protect and serve the people. That's a grotesque caricature to protecting and preserving the interests of the oppressors, serving us with nothing but injustice. They're there to intimidate blacks, to persuade us with violence that we are powerless in changing and altering the contents of our lives. Arrests are frequently made on whims. Bullets from their guns kill human beings with little to no pretext aside from the universal intimidation they are charged to carry out. Protected by crew pushers and mafia-style exploiters. Support to the reactionary ideological elements of the black community. And yes, those who cry out for more police are amongst the many functions of forces of law and order. They encircle us with shield of violence, too often forcing the natural aggression of black communities inward. Frantz Fanon's philosophy on colonial police is a very accurate description of the function of police in American ghettos today. Now, it goes without saying, police would not be able to set into motion their racist machinery were it not from the sanctions and support of the judicial system. The courts, not only do they consistently abstain from prosecuting the criminal behavior on the part of the police, they convict based on the biased police testimony countless black men and women. Court-appointed attorneys acting in the twisted interest of overcrowded courts convince over 85% of defendants to plead guilty. 85%. And even the manifestly innocent are advised to cop a plea. Now, this is the structure of an apparatus summarily railroading black men and women to prisons and jails. And now, my imprisonment and in New York's women's detention, I encountered countless black innocent women who pled guilty. And this was one sister. She entered her white landlord's apartment for the purposes of paying her rent. He attempted to rape her. And during the ensuing struggle, a candle toppled over on a table and burned his tablecloth. He ordered for her arrest for arson. And following the instructions of her attorney, she pled guilty, thinking the courts would be more lenient. The sister served 3 years. In this vicious circle linking poverty, police courts, and prison, this is an integral element within the ghetto. Unlike the mass of whites, the pathway to prisons and jails is deeply rooted in the imposed patterns in the Black community. Now, this is very important because this is among the rights and the things that go on with political prisoners, and that's what binds the mass of Blacks to political prisoners. Blacks, the vast majority, harbor a deep hatred for the police. And we will not be disillusioned that the proclamation of justice comes from the courts.